Hello, my name's Jim Stephen. I'm a licensed real estate agent and auctioneer in Bunbury in country Western Australia. I'd like to talk to you a bit about auctions, but first I'd like to talk to you about pharmacy. I graduated as a pharmacist in 1978. In 1986 I bought my first pharmacy. Back then the pharmacy cost me $125,000 and that included stock, plant and equipment and goodwill. And in the first year I traded I made $128,000. I mean, what a fabulous business. So why am I talking to you about auctions? Well, unfortunately I didn't own that business as long as I should have. Life has this way, and I ended up being in the restaurant business, and in 2002 that restaurant was liquidated, and with the liquidation went my, at that stage, pharmacy in Subiaco, my house in Nedlands, my life savings, my share portfolio. In fact, all I was left with was my 16-year-old car and the clothes I was wearing and a credit card debt of $10,000. Then I was in Perth, and the first thing I did was move out of Perth and came down to Bunbury. And for the next 3 years, I went surfing most days of the week, and in between I did locums in pharmacy just to get by. So by 2005, I was now 49. I still had the car, but it was 3 years older. I still had the credit card, at least it was paid off, and I still had my clothes. But I needed money, and there's no way that I could get back into pharmacy to own a pharmacy. To buy a pharmacy these days, it costs you millions and it takes a lifetime to pay off. Wages back in 2005 were $20 an hour. So when you've got nothing and you're going nowhere and you're 49, what do? Obviously, you go and sell real estate. And in 2005, the market was hot. If you got a listing, you had a sale. Any fool could be a real estate agent, and there were millions out there. I started door knocking, I got a few listings, I got a few sales, which was great. But it wasn't enough to retire on, and by 2006, in the middle of, the market changed dramatically. I still had listings a lot more now, but I couldn't make a sale. At that point, I started taking training because I needed an angle with an auction guru. So once a month for a year, I went to Perth for a day and I took the training. And I found the training fascinating, I found it relevant, and I didn't implement anything. And I suppose I was on the way out of the industry until I had this realisation. I actually remembered what had happened on the first day I sat in that auditorium in my first lecture in pharmacy school. And they told me right then, we don't employ pharmacists to think. In fact, we don't want you to use your imagination. We don't want you to do anything other than do what you're told and do what you've learned. Could you just imagine, you're standing in a pharmacy, you're dispensing prescriptions, you think, oh no, I don't think I'll dispense what the doctor wants. I think I'll ad lib. I think I'll be a bit more flexible today and give the patient something I think is the right thing. Well, the trouble is if I don't give the patient what the doctor orders, the patient dies. So I'm really obliged to do the right thing. And then I got a really practical example in my mind. So right at the beginning of pharmacy, you learn basic things like making creams. And a cream is a mixture between an aqueous phase, a watery phase, and an oily phase. And what you do is you put certain ingredients in the aqueous phase and you put certain ingredients in the oily phase. And you've got to be exact in the amounts and the active ingredients, and then you warm them up and you dissolve those ingredients, and when the temperature is right you mix them together, and instantly this sludge turns to this beautiful white cream. It's like magic. But if the liquids aren't at the right temperature, or you haven't got the ingredients quite right, nothing happens. See, the thing about these formulas, these recipes, these prescriptions, they've been worked out over years by people who know a lot more than me about chemistry. So all my job as a pharmacist was just to follow the formula. And when I looked at real estate like that, and particularly auctions like that, I suddenly realised I hadn't been doing exactly the formula, the prescription, the recipe that I'd been taught through my guru. I'd been ad-libbing, I'd been saying what I thought was right, I'd been quoting pride, I'd been doing all these things which were not in the formula. So I thought, right, I'm going to follow the formula as if it was a prescription, as if I was a chemist, except I'm an agent and I'm following what the guru says on how to make an auction work. And blow me down, my auctions started selling. You see, you get your cellar and you put the ingredients, the information, the dialogue, and you warm them up. And you get your buyer and you give them different information, different ingredients, and you warm them up. And when you get them just the right temperature, you put them together and you don't get this beautiful cream, you get magic, but you get a sale. And you get a predictable result. It's a chemical reaction. And when everything's right in chemistry, you get the explosion you're looking for. So I took those lessons back in 2006 and 2007. It took me some years to really implement them as I should. But I have done that. And it's such a simple process. There is no thinking to be done. All you do is do what the prescription says in the order in which it says it's to be done. And these days, I don't need a lot of listings because the listings I get, I sell. I currently sit at least 60% selling under the hammer, and that's in Bunbury, in which auctions don't work, and in a dead market. Now look, if you would like to know what the formula is, I'd be very happy to run it through with you.